What's going on, everybody? I am here to do a movie review for Halloween Kills. Believe it or not, this is actually one of my most anticipated films that I wanted to see in 2021. It actually, of course, it was supposed, if you didn't know, it was supposed to come out last year, but due to the pandemic, they had to push the movie back a year, and they wanted that Halloween release, so they said, we're going to just release it in October of 2021 since we can't release it last year. So basically, this movie right here is picking up where the 2018 film left off. It's like literally picking right back up where everything left off. If y'all don't remember, in the last movie, it ended off with Laurie, her daughter, and her granddaughter leaving out from the compound or the house that Laurie lives in. They set it on fire, pretty much locked Michael Myers inside of the basement, set it on fire, and they left, assuming that he is dead. But we all know, when it comes to the being that is Michael Myers, killing him is not the easiest task, as we have seen with the slew of movies that has come out for the last 40-something years, because the first movie came out in 1978. And this one is basically picking up where the last one, which came out in 2018, left right off. So basically, in this movie, you have some returning characters, like from the old film, the 1978 film, that are returning in this one. They're all grown up now, or just a little bit older if they were adults back then, to basically reprise their same roles that they played. And basically the mission of this movie is just to take out Michael Myers, because this man has terrorized this town for pretty much 40 years. Well, not so much 40 years, but 40 years prior, he terrorized the town. But they know how he is. They never killed him, unfortunately, when they should have, or tried to, because like I said, it's no easy task killing this man, if you want to call him that. He's been locked up, he got out, and now he's terrorizing the town of Haddonfield, Illinois. And their mission is just to stop him. This time they pretty much rallied everybody together to say, look, this is the mission. Kill Michael Myers. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Of course, trying to do that is not the most easiest thing in the world. So you have some people that, return. For those of you who are familiar with the old Halloween movies, if you remember, Laurie, who played by Jamie Lee Curtis, she was a babysitter, and she was babysitting two little kids. One was Tommy, the other one name was Lindsay. They're all grown up now, they're adults, and they basically came back. The same people who played them in those movies came back and they reprised their roles. And this time, like I said, the mission is to take out Michael Myers at all costs. The question is, did they succeed? I'm not going to spoil that in this review, but if you know what I know, then you know. So basically, in this review, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what I liked and what I didn't like, because there were some things that I did not like, and there were some things that I did like. That's pretty much going to affect how my rating for this movie is going to go. So I'm going to start off with what I did like. The kills. Michael Myers was probably the most savage he has ever been in this movie. We've seen him in a culmination of films over the years. We've seen him kill a lot of people over the years. But in this movie, he really went in. I even read somewhere where they said that this is probably the most kills that he's ever done in the movie, hence the name Halloween Kills. And he literally went in straight savage mode. Anybody who was anybody could get it. I'll put it like this. Anybody who you thought probably was going to make it to the end of this movie probably didn't. He killed off a lot of people, a lot of side characters. He even killed off some main characters. I'm not going to reveal to you who he killed. I'm going to let that one just hang right there. And if you choose to watch it, then you'll find out who he took out. Some of them kind of shocked me that he did, but then in a way it kind of didn't, because some people were just making dumb decisions. And that's going to segue into what I did not like. So one thing that I did like is that, Michael Myers was a straight savage, which is what we all want to see. We all know Michael Myers is like one of the Trinity. I always say the horror Trinity is Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy Krueger. Those three right there is what I call the horror Trinity. And I think that's actually their official title. And it actually makes sense. The other thing that I like is there actually was a bit of a horror factor here. Now, when it comes to horror movies, especially in this day and age, a lot of times, even if they're movies from back then that scared us like it was nothing or everything, sometimes cannot live up to a horror factor of today. This movie actually did make me jump a couple of times in the theater and was like, whoa, I can't believe they actually, did that and went that far with it, but I'm glad that they did. But the horror factor definitely wasn't there. They didn't go overboard with it, but they also did not have enough of it. It was just a good amount of horror factor there that would make you, if you was in that situation as the characters were, that you would be scared as well. Another thing that I liked about this, and this actually is more so of the movie going experience, because I did see it in the theaters, is I saw this movie in a majority black audience. Now, those of you who know, when we go to a theater, when black people are all together in a movie theater, in a dark room, watching a movie, especially a horror movie, we can be extra. And extra we were, because when they were doing stuff on screen, we yelling at the screen. I was yelling at the screen. I was, doing, reacting along with the audience. That's one thing I like about the movie going experience, especially when it comes to horror movies or action movies or comic book movies, is the reaction that you get from the audience that is around you. This is probably one of the best movie going experiences I've had since watching Avengers Endgame. Now that's saying a lot, and I'm just talking about the audience, from the audience perspective of just being there in the moment and with the people, and just enjoying ourselves, and just kind of when it's a horror movie, you get scared for a little bit, you might laugh a little bit. It was a mixture in the midst of all of that. So if you do go to see this movie, try to see it with a fairly big crowd. That's all I'm going to say. I'm trying to think if there's anything else there that I can say that was good, that I enjoyed about this movie. I can't really think of anything right now. The acting was good. It was, it's a horror movie, so you can take what you have to get, but as long, because you have to keep the adrenaline up. So I would say that the acting was pretty much there, although some of the stuff that they were doing I personally would not have done. And that's going to segue me into what I did not like about the movie, because there's actually, I think, 4 things that I did not like about this movie. 1, Jamie Lee Curtis' character, Laurie, did not do much in this movie. Opposed to the first movie, she did a lot more. But in this one, she didn't. And I can understand kind of why, because she was in the hospital. She's been badly wounded. She got stabbed. So she had to be basically in the hospital. And literally, that's where the bulk of her scenes took place at, was in that hospital. Like, she literally, the only time that you did not see her in the hospital was when they were transporting her to the hospital. So 99.9% of the movie, which is most of the movie, or all of it, the Laurie Strode character was inside the hospital pretty much most of the time. She tried to leave, but she was too injured to actually go and really fight with the people. Oh, before I go any further, one of the best scenes in this movie was definitely the hospital scene. I need to know how long it took them to film that scene, because that scene was so chaotic. I can only imagine how long it took for them to film that scene with all of those extras in that tight space, running around like a chicken with their head cut off. I can only imagine how long, or maybe it could have took a couple of days to film that one scene of them going through the hospital chasing who they thought was Michael Myers. And I'm going to talk about that, because that goes into something else that I didn't like either. But that scene right there was probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie. It kind of made me laugh a little bit, because people trampling over each other. It looked like World War Z, like people going after a person they think is Michael Myers but actually isn't. Another thing that I did not like in this movie goes back to what I was just mentioning. Some of the dumb decisions that a lot, and I do mean a lot, of the characters made in this movie. I'm like, okay, y'all have a gun. Use it. Aim and shoot. That's all you have to do. Michael Myers walks. How are you missing something that is walking? Like, how? I'm trying to figure out how that's even possible. And when you're trying to face off against a character that is Michael Myers, you don't have time to make rookie mistakes. This guy is a menace. He is a deviant. You have to get rid of him and take care of him at all costs. You cannot just afford to make silly mistakes. Like, I was like, did these people get their shooting lessons from the stormtroopers? Now, for those of you who don't get the reference, in Star Wars, the stormtroopers have a knack for having terrible and horrific aim. Like, they cannot shoot for anything. They cannot shoot to save their life. And I'm starting to think that they got their training from them, because you have a projectile weapon that shoots out bullets against a person that's carrying a knife, and you can't even hit him. Like, that is crazy. That is insane. I cannot believe that. And then some of the decisions that some of the characters were making, like wanting to go investigate certain things and wanting to split up. You know, the typical horror movie thing. Oh, we got to split up. No, you stay together. It's best that you work together and stay together as a group. It gets, especially when you're facing off against this one person who is Michael Myers. You do not split up for any reason whatsoever. I don't know why people can't seem to grasp that concept, but it's like I said, the dumb decisions that people were making in this movie was about to make me be like, it could not be me. Because I know, had it been me, I would be trying to use as many tactics as I possibly can to take this guy out. And if I could not, I would just do what I can and flee and just get away from him as far as I possibly can. And there was some people in there saying, in the audience, I would have just moved. I would have just moved away from the town and not stay there. I don't know why people would have chose to actually stay there, but I, would have moved. Before I actually continue going on, another thing that I did like about this movie is that they actually filled in some gaps here. If you remember how the 1978 movie ended, it just ends with Michael Myers' body not being there and the movie cuts off. But in this one, they kind of fill in the gap and they basically say, okay, where did Michael go after he just got up and left? Because in the second movie, it starts off with Laurie going to the hospital after what had happened to her in the first one, but you don't know what happened in between with Michael after he had got off the ground and just left. But in this one, they talk about, or they fill in their own story about what he did when he, that gap they filled in right there, and it kind of segues into him being captured and then him being put inside of that facility for all those years. Because if y'all don't remember, they kind of scrapped every Halloween movie that happened after the first Halloween, and then they just picks it up with the one that came out in 2018. So technically this is the third movie in this particular storyline, basically. And so in retrospect, if it makes sense, it should make sense. It's not really that hard to grasp. It was some other things in there that I didn't like, but I really can't think, because I was literally formulating what I was going to say on my way home from the theater. But like I said, the dumb decisions that people were making really pissed me off. The fact that Jamie Lee Curtis really did not have much to do in this movie, and I have a feeling that she's going to do more in the next one. Yes, the cat's out of the bag. There is going to be, or there should be, one more Halloween movie, and it's going to be called Halloween Ends, and it's supposed to come out next year. It would have came out this year, but of course, like I said, with the pandemic, it did not. So now we have to wait until 2022, around this time next year, to see how this thing all wraps up. Now, my whole theory is, I think that they should end it in Michael's home. I don't know why they have not destroyed that home, because it's nothing good that comes from there, whether the home looks run down, whether it's in renovations, or whether it's complete. That home, that Myers residence, should not be there. It should have been demolished or burnt to the ground, and put nothing there. Put nothing there. Don't even put another house there. Just leave absolutely nothing there for it to be bare, and let that be that. That way he's homeless. He has nothing to go home to, because that's the only reason he keeps coming back there, is to go home and terrorize the neighborhood on Halloween. But that, yeah, like I said, I can't really think of what else I can really add into this that I didn't like. It was two more points that I had, but I can't really think of them right now. They're probably going to come to me by the time this review is over, but it is what it is. If it comes to me, I'll leave it down in the chat, and we'll discuss it from there. But if I had to give this movie a grade, I would give it a 7, because while it had its moments, and like I said, the fear factor and everything like there, the points that I had in there is what took points away. Like I said, Jamie Lee Curtis not having a big role in there, because the thing is, she's the lead character, but she didn't have that many scenes. She really didn't. If I had to think of the screen time that she probably had maybe about 20 minutes. I kid you not, for a 2-hour movie, or a movie that's almost about 2 hours long. She only had about 20 minutes worth of screen time. So I'm predicting that when the next one comes along, that she's going to have a bigger role, because this is the final showdown. The next one is the final showdown. And my next point was the characters just making dumb decisions and doing some dumb things that just did not make any sense. Like, if this was real life, I understand that it's a movie and they kind of write that stuff in there because people are supposed to be in a panic mode. Maybe they're not thinking in that moment, but at the same time, realistically, that could not happen. It's no way. Let's just put it this way. If it was a mob and we had to take this person down, it's a lot of people in there that I would have not had on my team. You had people who had these weapons, they would drop them. You had people who had guns, they can't shoot them right. It's wild to me. But all in all, the movie was fairly decent. And like I said, it wasn't the best movie. It wasn't a bad movie. If I could say if it was better than the first one, I would say yes, because the kills were definitely very good. That's one major thing that saved the movie for me, is that the kills were done phenomenally. But that's what we wanted anyway, because we're going in to see basically a slasher flick. And that's basically what, we got outside of the errors that were there. But that's going to be my review for Halloween Kills. Y'all let me know what y'all think about it down in the comments. Do you plan on seeing the movie? Oh, by the way, they did also have a Peacock option. If you did not want to go to the theater to watch it, you can watch it on Peacock, which is I think it's NBC's streaming platform. And I think that their platform is indeed free, so you could watch it on there if you didn't feel like going to the theaters. And I think Peacock is currently free. I wouldn't know. I don't have Peacock. Don't want it. But that's my review. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Okay, so I had to come back and actually add this part in here because I remember what part it was that I did not like. And this is kind of a mini spoiler right here. And this actually takes place in the scene with the hospital chaos. So basically, they're all looking for Michael Myers and everything like that. It was a part in the movie where it says not one but 2 inmates escaped. We only knew of just one, and that was Michael Myers, but they revealed it was actually 2. So this inmate, the other inmate, comes to the hospital to basically seek out help. And at this point, it's a bunch of chaos going on. A lot of people are there. Remember, I was telling you it was a lot of extra actors there, and how long it probably took them to film this particular scene. And then they see a guy like literally yelling out for help, banging on the door. But all they see is him in this white inmate costume, suit that says inmate. And it was like, oh, that's Michael. That's Michael. Let's go get Michael. And we were sitting there like, hold on. How do you know that's him? We know that it's not him. But it's like, you just immediately said that was him. Mind you, y'all don't know what Michael Myers looks like, because every time y'all saw him, he was wearing a blue jumpsuit and a white mask. So y'all have no clue what he looks like. So just to assume that this was the guy was just idiotic. And then on top of that, the guy physically, aesthetically didn't even look like him. Because we all know that that Michael Myers is a tall, slim, creepy looking person. He's very tall and slim. This person was short, half bald, and pudgy. Like he kind of looked like the Penguin from Batman. So how in the world did you even think that was this guy? Like, that part right there really, really got me. But I can see why it was necessary to the film, because one of the characters in the movie said Michael Myers, who was a true monster, has literally turned his town into monsters. And that was a line that was uttered after this character that they were going after ended up taking his own life. Like I said, this is kind of a mini spoiler right here. So he kind of like, when he said that, I was like, yeah, y'all basically got turned into monsters. Michael Myers basically turned you into him. Maybe not in the full embodiment of him, but that's basically what he did. But that scene right there just kind of blew my mind, because it was like, how did y'all think that was him? Y'all never saw Michael Myers' face to say that that is him. Y'all know that is not him because he's not tall like him. This guy was short and fat and half bald. Like, this was not Michael Myers at all. And they didn't realize it wasn't him until after they saw his body on the ground when he leaped out of that window to get away from the mob. But yeah, that's it.